The National Football League offseason is ramping up as free agency officially is a week away, and teams are already starting to shuffle around some pieces to see where they might be able to find some value. And the Washington Commanders, I think, found a fair amount of it as they acquired Deebo Samuel from the San Francisco 49ers for a fifth-round pick. I really like this for Washington. A couple years ago, I thought Deebo was the best receiver in the league, with just how tough he was to bring down, how versatile he was. I think that he is an incredibly talented guy. Now, I don't think he's best receiver in the league anymore, but I do think that there is still a lot of talent there, and it has been tough to keep him on the field. And I think that part of that is because of he just doesn't go down, and he is tough to bring down, and he is versatile, so he's used a lot, so he's taking a lot of contact and all of those things, but there's still a very talented player in there. And so I don't know if he is a number one. I don't know if McLaurin is a number one, but they're both like at worst 1Bs. And so I think you have a very high level now 1-2 punch that you can work with as an offense here with Jaden Daniels. And again, it's a really fun offense or a really fun weapon, for this offense to kind of play around with and see. Like, they were a little bit creative offensively this year. Daniels kind of allows for that. But now with Deebo, you just add another very talented piece that can help this team get to another level. So now you have, we'll see what happens with the running backs this year, but Robinson and Eckler are strong, solid running backs. With McLaurin and with Deebo Samuel, that's a very good kind of offensive foundation that you have built. And so we'll get to the free agency preview here in a little bit. I'll let you know I didn't go offensive line for these guys because I think there could still be some of that in the draft they can maybe go out and acquire. And this isn't a fantastic offensive line free agent class either. But if they can solidify that free agent or that offensive line, then you really have something out in Washington as kind of a not going to love this because they're in the division, but kind of a poor man's Eagles, where like McLaurin and Deebo are your Brown and Smith. And Robinson and Eckler don't really get you very close to Saquon Barkley, but you are still building up a very fun offense out there. But a lot of that does depend now on the trenches. For San Francisco, this is the type of move that you have to make when the bill starts to come due a little bit. You have a young quarterback who you've been able to really build around for the last little while, but now that is going to be a very big ticket in the next little while, or you're going to be getting rid of him and you're going to be looking in a new direction anyway. So it's a cap casualty. It frees up some space. Deebo wasn't much of a factor there last year. They have a ton of weapons that they really like out in San Francisco, and so losing your third or fourth best one isn't going to crush you all that much. So it is not a big return. But it does free up a little bit of cap space and does help with whatever Brock Purdy's next contract is going to be, or whatever their salary cap sheet is going to look like when they have whoever at the quarterback spot. So not a great move for the Niners, but certainly a necessary move for the San Francisco 49ers. Toxic in the chat. If you're the Commanders, you have to take advantage of this with Jaden Daniels still on his rookie contract. 100%. Yeah, like you have... San Francisco took advantage of Brock Purdy on a rookie contract. Now, he has turned into a better quarterback than we thought, but Jaden Daniels has a much higher ceiling, we believe, than Brock Purdy does. And so if San Francisco can take advantage of that, you absolutely have to. And so, yeah, maybe this does speed up the timeline a little bit because you just made it to the NFC Conference Championship game after years of irrelevance for that football club. And so, yeah, you have to take advantage of this while Jaden Daniels is still on that rookie contract. And they have, they have salary cap space to play around with, for sure. But they do need to, because it's not a great free agency class offensive line, you still, maybe you go out and just overpay on a couple of guys on the O-line for a couple of years and just make sure that's solid and try to draft and kind of backfill around that. So Washington now, it's so interesting. And it does remind you, as you come up on the draft here, like they are in a completely different space now. There is a real confidence around this team that there just wasn't before. There is a real kind of established, like, this is our team that just wasn't there before. And it's one piece and it's one quarterback changes the entire direction of the franchise. And so that is why you still have, even though we talked about this during the season, even though Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders are like top 15 prospects, but not the top 2 best players in this draft, you still have teams considering taking them at 1 and 2, because if you hit that, it just sets you up for years, and it can change the dynamic of your team in a heartbeat. Like Tennessee, we talked about it here before. Tennessee, I don't think is a bad football team. They were in quite a few games, but their quarterback cost them games. And Cleveland had a good roster, and they tried to take a home run swing with a guy who you definitely shouldn't have with, and it set them back years. And so the quarterback spot, it is a high variance thing, because it can set you up for years and years and years, or it can set you back for years and years and years. And that's why it is not just getting a guy, but getting the right guy that is so important.